What happens, Adam?
So, yeah, explain this. This is going to be fun.
Hello, Neo Mood, and welcome to the Four Takes Movie Podcast. My name's Martin.
My name's Adam.
I'm Luke.
And I'm David.
And today, we're finally talking about one of my favourite movies, 2014's Interstellar, directed by Christopher Nolan. What a movie.
So should say we went to the pictures the other night and rewatched this all together because it was re-released in IMAX.
Luke, I've seen it in IMAX before, and I'm pretty sure David and Adam, you've seen it in IMAX before?
Yeah, we did,
Luke, I'm pretty sure you haven't.
I don't think I did, no.
What did you feel?
Different film.
Different film, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching this the first time it came out in a cinema in Sunderland, and I enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. But I watched it in IMAX last year, and I thought it was transformative. I've never been at points as riveted as I was. That whole that Hans Zimmer spinning space station bit, that gets your blood pumping. That.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the first time I saw it was in the same screen, the IMAX screen in
Metro
Centre in Newcastle, and that was the only time I'd seen it in the cinema. And since then, I've probably watched it 20 times at home on TV. And going back and seeing it on IMAX, this is the only way to watch this film is on an IMAX screen. It is phenomenal.
I think since the last few, I don't know what they've done, but I think they've upped the bass in that screen since I was last in there.
Trouser flapping.
Trouser flapping, yeah.
Well, I think I don't know when the Dolby Atmos was brought out.
Did Dolby Atmos exist 10 years ago when this film originally came out?
I don't think
is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't think it was fully out. I don't know if anyone can check the facts.
Let me
Google that for you. So Dolby Atmos first appeared in cinemas in 2012 for the premiere of Pixar's Brave. That was the first film to use Dolby Atmos, but the Metro Centre didn't get it till 2022.
Okay, so
when we saw it, we didn't have Dolby Atmos.
I
thought you could definitely tell a difference in the sound quality, and that's what I kind of picked up on, because I knew that last time I'd saw it, obviously it sounded amazing, but when you hear it in Dolby Atmos, it's just a different level.
That'll be why the bass sounds different, because of its.
So we've had Dolby Atmos
system
at home longer than the Metro Centres.
Yeah. So why do we talk about our week so far?
It's not interesting.
So I've got one. On Sunday, I went to the cinema again because they re-released Rocky Horror Picture Show.
All right.
And I've never seen that in the cinema. I've seen it loads of times in the house. It's one of my wife's favourite movies. So we went on Sunday, and I do like the movie. It's campy, it's cliche, it's funny as out, really. And but one thing I'm sure when I've watched this in the past, and I've got this on at home, I'm pretty sure it's a 15 on my Blu-ray collection. But when I went to the cinema on Sunday, it came up as 12.
I think all the certifications all changed. Cause
there's no way that's 12.
I mean, because I've seen some kids' films now where you're thinking the language or the themes are pretty adult. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure is it not because of the recertification and classification of 12A, and that was brought in because there was ambiguity between what.
Well, I don't know, but it's been re-released a number of times on home media, and the 12A certificate exists in home media as well. And
this is to do with politics, but it'll be to do with cross-dressing. Would have been seen something to do with being adult years ago,
no,
and now
he's not wrong. I think
it is now not seen to be something as.
Yeah, I think he's right. I think back I'm sure right when it was released, it was an 18.
Because it had been a taboo subject, and now it's not classed as being a taboo subject.
Exactly. And as time goes on and reclassifications happen, we just become a bit more tolerant.
Anyway.
But there is tits in this movie, and there's a couple of swear words in it. There's a lot of innuendo.
For a moment there, I thought you were talking about Interstellar, and I was like, I must have had my eyes shut then.
Today, as we've already explained, we're talking about Interstellar, 2014 Christopher Nolan movie. In the beginning of the movie, we're introduced to Cooper and his family, you have some kind of indication from a flashback scene that Cooper was at least a pilot at some point. And then he wakes up from a bad dream and you see him looking over this large amount of farmland. And then interspersed at the beginning of the movie are these little clips of what look like documentary footage of like older people talking about their experiences, about dust and all this kind of stuff. Through the progression of this early scene, and a useful bit of exposition with a teacher-parent conference, you realise that the world is being infected with this thing called blight. You never understand what it is. You just know that it's affecting the crops of the world.
What they say is the earth was dying, so that all the nutrients have gone from the soil, so they can't grow anything.
Because of the blight?
Well, it's a real thing that's happening in the world now. It's like by over farming, basically putting the same crop in the same field over and over for hundreds of years, all the nutrients in the earth dies off, and because
you're not giving it any fallow time, you're not giving the earth time to recuperate.
So there's no nutrients in the soil. Nothing will grow in those fields, and because nothing's growing in the fields, there's not enough food to feed people. People are starving, and there's a population collapse. And they said something like 6 billion people had died, I think it was. So there's only about 2 billion people left on the planet, and because nothing's grown, there's nothing to hold the earth in the ground. So that's why you're getting all these big sandstorms and windstorms.
The dust bowls, yeah. It's like the dust bowls of like the 20s and 30s during the Depression.
So the whole of the country keeps getting covered in dust. And obviously if everything's covered in dust as well, then it blocks out light, which stops things from growing. And it's like a vicious cycle. Right. Anyway, so now we want to talk about Cooper's discovery. So Adam, you want to give us...
Yeah, so he makes a discovery of gravity and the fact that his daughter is sort of been pestering him, saying, look, I've got a poltergeist, I've got a ghost. And the little girl obviously is quite enthusiastic about the fact that her books are falling off the bookshelf and things are getting broken and things is happening in a certain pattern, and she's noticing these patterns and trying to rope her dad into sort of saying, well, look, this is not me, I haven't broke things, this is the bookshelf, it's doing this. And what he starts to notice is that gravity is different in her bedroom and her bedroom alone. And is it a Morse code that it is?
So
isn't it?
There's a couple of different ways that he's the ghost is trying to make contact with Murph, as we know it at this point. Yeah. So they're at the game. The dust storm comes in. She forgets to shut the window. And when they come in, it looks like there's lines of dirt, lines of floating dust or anything or something like that. And then he realizes by chucking a coin in that it's actually gravity is different in these particular lines. And I think in that particular one, he realizes it's binary. Yeah. And from that, he's able to discern that this binary equates to coordinates. And this is where they then sort of use those coordinates to find NASA.
We don't know it's NASA.
They don't know it's NASA, yeah.
Because obviously they've just got coordinates, but they're assuming that NASA's all disbanded.
Well, there was that really interesting part where in the teacher-parent meeting, they say Murph's been telling all the kids that we really landed on the moon. This has all been debunked because...
the government had changed the narrative to try and stop people looking up and get people to look down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Propaganda, isn't it?
Yeah. People have been saying for years as part of like conspiracy theories, like we never actually went to the moon. Mm-hmm. But to then have that be pushed by the actual government going, actually, the only reason why we said we went to the moon was so
to bankrupt the USSR.
I had to bankrupt the Russians, and it worked. But we never really went, so forget all about getting off the planet.
So just be farmers.
Yes, just be farmers, fix the planet we're on, don't be thinking about the outside world. And then that's flipped on its head when they turn up at NORAD.
So when they obviously turn up at NORAD's offices, the first welcoming they received being locked away, basically.
I think this is where we're introduced to one of the funniest characters of the movie, which is Tars the android. Yeah, it's the robot, not android.
It's suggested that Tars tears at him. Because you hear it go click, and then
it's definitely a taser, yeah.
And then he wakes. Then he has to be woken up.
Yeah.
So he was obviously must have passed out.
So Tars is obviously the first sort of.
He's a marine.
Yeah, he's an AI marine, and
it's like funny a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah, it's funny how the the look of the AI intelligent machine now does not take any humanoid form. It is essentially a box.
It's a giant sarcastic robot.
Yeah. And
Humor settings at 90
yeah,
or 75%.
in the initial introduction with Tars, it's very much a case of he does not have a great sense of humour, and you learn all of these things can be programmed later on to how they want to interact with him. But for the first sort of introduction, Cooper is sitting, being interrogated. People are wanting to know why he's there and how he's found the base, because no one knew that NASA was there and it was a secret location.
From what you hear in the movie, everyone thinks NASA's been disbanded because they refused to drop bombs on starving people from the stratosphere. I think that's what they're saying.
Yeah.
Yep.
And obviously with the world in the crisis that is at the moment, having them spend money on outer world stuff when they've got so many problems on the ground here, it would probably be a PR nightmare, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's this point in the film where they lay it all out for Cooper, saying the world's dying, there is no hope, there's going to be possibly 2 or 3 more generations, and then everybody is going to starve or suffocate. And he's told his children, they're the last generation. So at this point, would you like to pilot a mission to save the world? Because you're a pilot, so why not? So
Yeah.
And they sort of at this point, they don't know what that anomaly is. So they're all kind of treating it as like fate. You know, something brought you here. You know, this is what you were trained for all those years ago when you were a NASA pilot, which obviously we find out in here as
Yeah.
well. That initial dream he had right at the beginning of the movie was from his days when he was a NASA pilot.
One of the great introductions, Cooper meeting up with NASA, was some of the cast. You got Anne Hathaway, and then you got Michael Caine's character, Professor Brand. And I think the acting quality of those two characters, it really does glue together. It's a strong mix of characters, and I think it really does set the tone for the film and solidifying that experience for...
So Dr. Brand explains that there's a plan A and there's a plan B. And plan A is to save everyone on Earth. But they're going to save everyone on Earth by solving the problem of gravity. The answer to solving the problem of gravity can only be found within the centre of a black hole.
Michael Caine's character, Professor Brand, knows that they can't solve the problem, but doesn't let anyone else on this mission know about that. So they're all going up there, they all take on this mission. You know, Anne Hathaway, Wes Bentley is one of the other people on there. I can't remember the name of the other fella. Is it Romley? Rowley, the character's name?
I think so, yeah.
They all start on this mission thinking that he's going to solve the problem while they're away. By the time you get back, I will have solved the problem of gravity.
And he was lying.
He was lying because plan B was the plan all along, was the only plan where they go with this...
Petri dishes.
Fertilised eggs.
Fertilised, like 30,000 fertilised eggs.
With no explanation of what they're going to do with them.
Yeah, what we're going to do with those Petri dishes.
We're going to arrive on a planet with 30,000 eggs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, plot point aside, that's really the only plan that is actually in motion, but the crew don't know it.
So one of the nice things about Interstellar was all the input it had from people in the scientific community. So Kip Thorne, Nobel Prize winner, he was an advisor.
I think it was Kip Thorne that designed the black hole in the film, what it looked like.
That black hole design has now become
the standard.
most standard representation or simulation of what a black hole would actually be.
Afterwards, after the film came out, everyone went, "That's amazing. That is literally like what a black hole would look like."
Didn't they actually take a picture of a black hole?
Yeah, it was almost
And
identical.
it was almost exactly like it. And it was
Well,
like,
they used a computer to try and generate what this would actually look like.
Yeah, the simulation.
And they said basically, like, because of all the equations that they had, it would be remarkably close to perfect as what you would actually see. But yeah, they definitely smashed it out of the park with stuff like that.
Well, we've got a lot of black hole stuff here because the black hole first starts on Miller's planet with the time dilation, because Miller's planet is so close
To the
black hole that what is it, every hour down there is 7
7
years
hours,
on
yeah.
Earth.
Yeah.
It's
7
years, yeah.
Yeah.
For me, that's where the film started to get really interesting, and especially when they landed on the planet in its all shallow water.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, and what you find out that's actually just the water's receding. Is this a tidal wave the size of, I don't know, a mountain?
Because
Well, they think it's a mountain range, don't they? Because they can see the last wave. What we learn is the previous wave that has just killed Miller
Yeah.
moving away from them.
Which
Because
is
that way, they've just landed and she's just died because she landed
Even
7 years ago, but she's just been killed. Where they land is supposedly where Miller is. That's where her transponder's beeping from or something like that. But they can't see her. And then you later find out that's because her ship and everything about it's just been absolutely pulverized by the last wave. So they start finding bits of it. But by the time they start finding bits of it, the next wave's on its way. And they don't realize because not one of them's looked behind them yet.
Yeah.
And then they turn around and there's a mountain-sized wave and they're about to get wiped out.
Yeah.
So all hell breaks loose and they try to get back to the ship. There's a bit of, I've got to get the data, and they get stuck for probably what?
oh, it's
maybe
28 years or something, isn't it? It's
23 years by the time they get back to the ship. But for them, it's been what? 2 and a bit hours?
Oh yeah, it wasn't
2
very-
and something odd hours? And that poor fella who's been trying to do some equations has been stuck up there for 23 years on his toilet.
I like
he
I like it when the airlock opens and he's there in his pajamas.
I wouldn't be wearing out.
Just
You'd-
like
you'd see-
it's been 23 years.
But they
But
did,
after 12 years, I'd be like, shed this mortal clothing. I'd be just walking around in the nude. I think this is where we get our first real gut punch of the movie. You've had a bit of a gut punch when Cooper was leaving Murph.
Yeah.
And they have that bit of an interaction where she comes running out the door at the end.
And she misses him.
She misses him. But then after they've been done on this planet for the equivalent of 23 years Earth time, and Murph starts listening to the messages that he's got, which are all from the Sun, played by Timothy Chalamet and Casey Affleck. But then you get that one video from Murph,
The only video she makes.
the only video she makes, and it's when they're the same age.
yeah. Apparently, when they shot that, he was just sat down saying, "You're going to watch these videos, and I just want you to react to them." And he didn't because he didn't know what they were going to say.
It's a powerful scene, actually. But what I like about it is that when it finishes, it doesn't go back to Cooper, it goes to her. And you start seeing some things from her perspective.
Yeah.
And this work she's been doing with the older Professor Brand. And he's starting to get, you get the
infirmed.
feeling at that point that because he doesn't want to work on it as much as she wants to work on it.
Because he knows it's a waste of
Because he
time.
knows it's a waste of time. But we don't know that. We don't know that yet as an audience.
You do start to get the sense, though, that she's actually smarter than what he is.
Yeah.
that was one of the things that was proven in the very beginning of the film, and it showed that she was a very switched on child because she was already on to understanding gravity before anybody else.
Well, she was trying to work out what was happening. There was an unusual situation happening, which she thought was a poltergeist, and she'd obviously very clever, naturally gifted, but she'd been raised to find evidence, present your theories and all this kind of stuff. So from a very early age,
She had a scientific method.
She had a scientific method, and she's regimented in that. She's an adversarial character in regards to, she stands up for what she knows is right, and she can back it up with facts and figures. And
I mean, even to her own dad. I mean, because obviously she was devastated when her dad left.
yeah.
And likewise, he was devastated. But it must have took a lot of hard-nosedness to go, I'm never going to send my dad one of these messages. I know my brother's doing it, but I'm never going to do it. I might do it when I'm the same age as what he is now.
Yeah.
And so she's stubborn.
Yeah.
But the time dilation for me, other than another couple of characters in this film, the time dilation is the absolute enemy in this film, because
Absolutely, because every time they go through one of these time dilations, it's less time he's got to get back to Murph.
yeah, and
Because realistically,
time's
that's
just
what this
slipping
is.
away, isn't it?
It's about this fella who's trying to save his children. Realistically, that's what he's trying to do. Saving the world is just a byproduct of it. He loves his kids. He's trying to save them, but also he wants to get back to them as well.
Yeah, so anyway, after they've all had a good cry, after receiving the messages, they say, right, let's get back on mission.
And then they have this discussion about whether they should go to Dr. Mann's planet or Edmund's planet.
And it turns out Brand is in love with Edmondson.
Yeah.
So they went, well, we're not going to go there. So we'll go to Dr. Mann instead.
And there's got
Screw your boyfriend.
and I think they've got some evidence for this because Dr. Mann is supposedly the best of them, and He's probably gone to the planet that is actually the one that.
He's been sending thumbs up, saying everything's okay.
He's been sending thumbs up, saying, "Come to me, everything looks good." They make the decision to go to Dr. Mann's planet. Well,
So Dr. Mann was a bit of a surprise cast appearance, wasn't he? Because
he was kept secret from like all the press tours and everything like that. No one knew.
Is he credited in the film?
He is,
Yes.
but he's not. No one knew it until he popped out of his deep sleep.
I actually groaned in the cinema when they opened the bag.
I quite like Matt Damon as an actor.
I think he's terrible in this film, and he's the worst part in Oppenheimer. He can't act, and he does.
What?
He's okay. He's great in something like Ocean's 11, but when he has to do anything where he has to be sincere, it just doesn't come across as sincere.
I'm gonna say something. I think you're wrong in the fact that he's a bad actor, but I will say when he does act, I get the feeling he's always bantering with someone the way he talks.
There's parts in Good Will Hunting as well where it feels forced. Matt Damon's best film and his best performance is The Rainmaker with Danny DeVito.
I would just like to say, if Matt Damon is listening through the magic of the internet.
And Matt Damon, I think you're all right, mate. I think you're okay. It's David who thinks you're a tit.
But then again, because obviously the character Dr. Mann is potentially a baddie. You don't know whether or not it was set up that way by the director and said, well, look, I want you to play like this, or if he's turned around and Matt's turned around and said, look, I'll tell you what, I know I'm just doing this as a one-off sort of thing. I'm not.
No one tells Nolan what the story is. Basically, Nolan knows what the story is. So this will have all been.
Yeah.
We all know that Dr. Mann. Nolan knows that Dr. Mann's going to turn out to be a bad guy.
I think,
but a bad guy in a way of he just lost his nerve. He wasn't that he wasn't. He went up there in the first place. He went up there alone in the first place. He had to have some kind of bravery for them to go off and do that.
Yeah.
But they've gone off, and he's had some kind of crisis when he realised that his planet is not the planet, and because of that, he will not be rescued, and he will spend the rest of his life. He will die on that planet alone, and he resigns himself to that for a long time, but then at some point during these. It's got to be, however many years. You think, right? The 23 years that they spent on Miller's planet, those 23 years happened for him as well.
But
so
but he was in stasis.
No,
the guy
not all the time.
The guy in the spaceship was just like sitting there rocking his slippers.
He wasn't in stasis all the time. He was up. He was doing his tests and all this kind of stuff. He realised that the planet was not the planet. He resigned himself to the fact that he would never be rescued. And then at some point, he loses his nerve. At some point over that 23 plus years, probably close to 30 years maybe, from whenever the first Lazarus missions took place to the point where they showed up on this planet, at least 30 years.
Did they say it was like 8 or 10 Earth years? They said there was
between the Lazarus and the...
I think it was 14, wasn't it?
So the Lazarus were the first set of missions. What's the missions that that Cube goes on? Endurance? The Endurance mission. That's it. So that's been what? I'm just guessing at least about 7 years plus 23. That's 30 years this guy has had to lose his nerve. And then at some point...
But he did say he kept going into stasis for a couple of years at a time, and then eventually he just went, there's no one coming, and he just didn't set a wake date.
And he lost, but at some point he lost his nerve, and he decided to set away a fake thumbs up, and that's why he destroyed the robot, because the robot wouldn't let him do it.
But this is how much of a baddie he was. He was willing to sacrifice every single person on Earth.
Yeah.
Just to have someone to chat to.
Just to have a chance to get off the planet.
Yeah. And I do like it how the setup for Dr. Mann's character, he was sort of like, he's the best of us. he's a saint, he's a hero, he's
Yeah,
a pioneer in all this. And then when you finally meet him and you're sympathetic to him, because the first thing he does is when he sees Coop is he grabs hold and cries on him because he's just happy to see somebody else. And he realises that maybe he might be getting saved here. And then when he realises that there's no one else, and
because of the situation they had on Miller's planet, where that ship was in orbit for 23 years when it was only meant to be in orbit for maybe like a few, they were going to get down and straight back up, hopefully within an hour. Then they've, instead of using 7 years worth of fuel, they've used 23 years of fuel. They only had one option. They couldn't go to Mans and they couldn't go to Edmonds with it and still get home. So they had to choose one. So they chose Man because he's the best of us.
he said everything was tickety-boo.
He said everything's tickety-boo, and
He lied.
it most certainly wasn't.
And not to mention, he did try to off.
Coop.
He most certainly
Yeah.
did try to off Coop at one point as well.
And it was an interesting struggle and a battle because it was fantastic to watch because it was a totally different planet, and it was
Well, it was an
Ice
odd fight
clouds.
because you're in the but the fact is it wasn't like a swinging punching fight or anything like that. We're just literally just grappling across the floor to the point where Man started putting the nut on Coop.
What he did,
And he was like, say, you've got a 50% chance of killing yourself here. And he's like, well, that's the best chance I've had in years. So he continues to nut him and breaks his
yeah.
helmet.
You kind of get the feeling that
He's
obviously he was desperate, and I think he wanted to end it, but I don't think he cared how he went out, and I think he just wanted to know that, and it's part of the story as well, because throughout this story you have the poem from Dylan Thomas called the Dying of the Light, is it?
Yeah, rage against the dying of the light.
And that is a good depiction of what Dr. Mann is doing. And he actually said that. He says, they teach you this poem, when you come here, which is to rage against the dying of the light. And I think that's what he was doing as a character himself, as he was trying to sort of, get back
That's
to
what that poem
Earth.
is, isn't it? Death is inevitable, but I'm not getting easy.
Yeah. And that entire scene proves that.
So Man gets away from Coop after thinking he's killed him,
Yeah.
and then steals one of the ships while Dr. Brandt is trying to rescue Coop.
to go back up to Endurance.
To go back up to Endurance,
Oh, yes.
to which point he tries to dock, but one of the robots has disabled the auto-docking process because that robot knew something was funny about this and didn't trust Dr. Mann. At this point, there's this whole scene where Mann is desperately trying to dock with the Endurance, but the docking procedure isn't completing. They're telling him over the radio to do not open the airlock or you'll depressurize the ship. And then in one of the best scenes again, there's a moment and there's an almighty bang in the cinema. I was like, I forgot how loud that was. But then it's absolute dead silence as the air's no longer there anymore. You watch the Endurance sort of crash away from the dock and into one of the modules on Endurance. It smashes it up. The ship blows apart. You see a flash from a distance and you think the whole thing's popped up, and it starts to spin out of control and it's going down into the atmosphere. And then Coop, he goes into action and says, right,
Watch this.
watch this. We're docking. And I think that scene where he lines up underneath it.
And the music.
And
the music's awesome.
The Hans Zimmer music. I saw Hans Zimmer play that live. It's unbelievable. But in the movie, you're hearing these organs go off as he's trying to match the spin of Endurance, and he's trying to dock up. They're spinning so fast that Anne Hathaway's passed out, and Coop's got his head bent over to one side, and he's telling Tars, "Come on, Tars! Come on, Tars!" like that. And you see that almost like very slow moving ship of the both spinning but trying to line up. That is probably, in my opinion, the best action scene in the movie.
Yeah.
It's not the best scene in the movie.
I would say what makes all of that so amazing is the music, but it's also the lack of the music as well. I think it adds to it, because when you see any
There's
of the
plenty of
shots-
music in that scene, mate.
Yeah, but when you see some elements where things calm down a bit, and you see outside the ship, obviously there's no sound, so everything's just dead eerie. Silence can say so
The
much.
scene that's got no sound on it at all, where it's like dead eerie, is when Dr. Mann's trying to dock and you see the clamps
Yeah.
and there's no sound, and you just see the clamps go backwards and forwards, and you think, That doesn't work, mate.
That doesn't work.
Aye.
But
You're
you can
gonna be
hear
in
it from the
trouble.
if you listen to when it's in the inside, you can hear it. But he's ignoring it. He's trying to bypass it. But in that scene, you can hear it. Do-do, do-do. It's not working, mate. But he's lost his shit, hasn't he? He just wants to survive. He's raging against the dying of the light.
The decompression, it happened so quick, just things scattered everywhere.
Oh yeah, there's lots of debris flying all over the place. It's a minefield going into it anyway. Because any one of those bits of metal could come and go through Coop's windscreen, and then that's game over for the rest of the
Anyway,
endurance lot.
but they did manage to successfully dock.
They get it. They realise that the embryos are still okay, but the problem is by saving it, by getting it out of the atmosphere, it's now heading on a collision course with Gargantua, which was the name of the black hole.
Yep.
But by slingshotting themselves past the black hole, which is another amazing scene with the amazing music as well, and that's why the bass started rattling me ass. They're going past this black hole, but that's going to take them 51 years. But that's the hope. Get to limp to Edmund's planet, and hopefully that's their last chance, so to speak. And this is the part where, and you were talking about it before with the Tesseract in the black hole.
Cooper pulls a fast one on
Cooper
Brand.
pulls-
Anne Hathaway.
That's it. He tells the truth, but only 90% of the truth.
Yep.
So the plan is they slingshot around this, but they'll have to drop weight as they go because you got to leave something behind. As I said, the only way we've ever found a way to move forward as a human race is to leave something behind.
And Cooper's already had a word with Tars.
Tars knows the plan.
Tars knows the plan, and Tars has agreed, we're going to throw you into Gargantua
So we're going to throw Tars into Gargantua first,
so he can get the readings.
and then he's going to try and get the readings and try and transmit.
So that's good. That will be the answer to gravity.
That will be the answer to gravity. And then,
They're going to send that back to Earth.
well, they're going to try. And then when Coop's module or ship runs out of fuel, he then tells, he says, get ready to detach. And she goes, what do you mean detach? And, and then you realise that they have to leave him as well. So he has to plummet into the black hole as well. So for Tars and Coop, they worked it between themselves that this was a death sentence for them. And the only way for this mission to continue on was for them two to die and for Brand to continue on to Edmonds. But that doesn't happen.
No.
What happens, Adam?
So,
Yeah, explain this. This is going to be fun.
so Coop happens to fly through space. He ends up into another dimension. It takes him a while to get there, but he's under the influence that the people that made gravity.
No, it's not gravity. Gravity's always existed.
Well,
I knew he wouldn't be able to
So
explain
It's
this.
hard to.
so Coop detaches from Endurance as well as Tars, and they plummet into what they think is their inevitable doom, into the black hole. The ship's getting destroyed.
Yeah.
He has to eject, and at that point, he's just in the blackness. But then, as he starts to fall into the black hole, and he passes the event horizon where no light can get past, hence the reason we can't see what's inside a black hole, because the intense gravitation of black holes actually pulls in light as well. He starts to fall towards what looks like a planet at first, but then you realise it's a 5-dimensional representation of every moment
In time.
of a little girl's bedroom,
of his daughter's bedroom.
of his daughter's bedroom.
And that's when they realised that Gargantuan isn't a natural black hole. It's been made
Yeah.
by the human race at some point.
The human race at some point, as we to hear from this, has evolved in 5th-dimensional beings. They exist at all times at once, but they have no personal link to any time, so they can't focus on any time. That's why a black hole has been there for years. But within this black hole is a 5th-dimensional representation of every moment
Behind
that
the
happened,
bookshelf.
From behind the bookshelves in Murph's bedroom.
It seemed as if it was a fabric wrapped around, the bedroom. So you saw from every wall and every surface, the floor, whether you looked from above or from below, but you had no interaction with the person in there. And the only connection to that was through.
You could interact with it though. That's what the point of it is.
That's the whole purpose of the Tesseract was so that it allowed the communication to any point in time, but the only way you can communicate across time is using gravity.
Yeah.
So gravity to exert force. So, for example, that could be knocking the books off the shelf or changing the gravity at certain points to create the binary code when the dust was coming in the window and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's the only way you can communicate is via gravity. But the only reason that, and the reason why Coop was given those coordinates is because obviously he gave them to himself. But at this point, it's realizing that whoever thought that they chose Coop to help save the world actually chose Murph.
Yeah.
But they needed Coop up there
To get the data.
because he's the only one with the personal link to Murph that he could be, because, how do I put it? That Tesseract would be totally different for a different person.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It would be totally different for the person, but because he has this proper quantifiable space-time link, love, with Murph, he can then make that Tesseract, and just by sheer will alone, be of all these instances in this one particular room of this one particular person.
But it was important. It was important that
I'm trying to. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think it was important that it had to be Murph because
It had to be Murph because she was the one who was going to make the discovery.
Yeah, she needed to make the discovery, so it was always going to be revolved around Murph because she was the closest one to solving the equation of gravity.
Yep.
I think with the help of TARS, because obviously when he fell into this area, there's a lot of things that all fell sort of right. I think
Nothing fell right. All of this was planned.
Yeah. It was like it's preordained. So
This is preordained. This will happen again because now human beings now have a chance to continue because TARS, when he entered across the event horizon, was able to capture the information they needed to solve the problem of gravity. Hence, and they start talking to each other while they're in the Tesseract, and he's able to transmit the data via Morse, via the ticking of the second hand on the watch, and he's able to then relay the quantum data, as it's called, I think they call it, to the watch, and then she discerns what that is, and then from there she's able to use that to solve the problem of gravity
and save the whole world.
And save the whole world. She goes, save the human race.
Yeah.
I think Earth is just goosed at this point. There's no saving it. So Eureka! And she throws the papers about. And
at this point, the Tesseract starts to close around Cooper.
Exactly, because the job's done.
Yep. Mission accomplished.
The job's done. And then he gets whisked back through the wormhole where he has that handshake with Brand.
And then finds himself floating in normal space.
Next to Saturn.
And just happens to get picked up.
Yeah, the odds of that are just
well, the odds of that are
Well, actually, that odds are pretty good because if the Tesseract did close, that would mean Gargantuan disappeared.
yeah, but
And then people would be like, "Where's that going? Let's go and have a look."
But he didn't stay there. We've got to remember, Gargantua is in a different galaxy.
yeah.
Not our galaxy. They've been whisked away in
That's
the
right,
wormhole. So the Tesseract and Gargantua, I suppose, start shutting down. Shut down, restart, whatever, because they'll be back to it eventually, because this is all going to happen again. And then he gets whipped away by these beings through the wormhole again. So he then gets dumped back near Saturn. He gets picked up. They're on a blooming space station. He wakes up because it's just a big loop. I think personally, this is the best scene in the movie, where he finally gets to see Murph again.
Yeah.
But she's now
80, 90 or something.
80, 90, maybe
Oh no,
even in the
wasn't she like 100 and odd?
Oh, yeah, she was. She was in the hundreds.
She was in the hundreds.
But she'd been in stasis.
She'd been in stasis for at least the last 2 years. So...
And she had to be imported in, didn't she?
Well, she had to be transported from one station to another, yeah. So they have this... It's pretty emotional sort of like meet up again.
It's all very sad. I absolutely did not cry when watching that.
It's that line, because my dad promised me. That's what did it to me. He's like, oh my God.
Yep. I think that's the gut wrenching thing. The story starts off with a promise to a child. You're following the character commit to his promise to his child, and he doesn't necessarily fulfill his promise because he doesn't return when they're both the same age, and you know that is not going to happen for him, and you go through his pain for the rest of at least half of the film to understand what it must feel like for him to get to where he is, to meeting his daughter.
He's been able to meet it. He's been able to fulfill his promise, but not the way he wanted to.
Yeah, and I think that's something she realised as well, that obviously he had no control over it, but has come to sort of be at peace with that. But
so Cooper turns out and says, "Get out of here! I don't want you to watch me die."
Murph says that.
Murph, sorry.
Murph
says, "Get out of here! I don't want you to watch me die."
No, she
says something else, but I know what you mean.
I think what
go and find
no child should parent should have to watch their child die. I've got me kids here for us, and tells him to go after Brand, because we forgot about Brand. Brand buggered off to Edmund's planet, so she's on a Todd doing who knows what with these 30,000 eggs.
Yeah. Yeah, there was no real sort of explanation as to how the genetics of all of that was going to work.
It's not important to the story, mate. You just needed.
It kind of is. I mean, it's the first thing I would have.
We're not going to see that.
How's they going to do this?
But yeah,
they're taking one woman.
So she's landed on. You see flash sideways of her, I suppose. She got on to Edmund's planet. Edmund's is dead because at least 80 years has passed. He may have died from other circumstances, but he likely would have been dead unless he was in that stasis pod for a long time. But anyway, he's dead. He gets ready to go back out into space because he's going to go back through the wormhole to go see her and sort of help her start this colony that will eventually become the human race's new world. So eventually, he's shooting off now. He's nicking a ship. But eventually they'll all have to follow him through, and this will be their new world. Yeah.
And that's in the film.
And that's where it ends. It's amazing.
It is amazing.
It's amazing.
It is. I think it is. In terms of films I've seen, it is the best made film I've ever seen. It is so complex, and it's such a complex story, and it's done so well that it explains. Everything gets explained. It's a really interesting story to tell. It's told really well. It's full of emotion. The music is just, I think, is the best soundtrack to any film ever made. It's perfect apart from Matt Damon. So anyway, what we're all rating this film?
So,
what we're giving it?
Well, out of what? Sorry, mate, go on.
Well, just before we do, I was just going to say, can we just talk about some of the characters that were in this?
It's got an amazing cast, absolutely no doubt, ranging from, obviously, you've got Matthew McConaughey, who personally I feel mumbles a lot of his lines.
Well, I'm glad he did. I'm super glad the one thing he didn't say in any of this film was his usual catchphrase of, all right, all right, all right. Because I tell you what, he says that a lot.
Nolan wouldn't have let him. Nolan would not have let him. But like, I tell you who's a little bit underrated in this movie, who I think's really good, John Lithgow.
Yeah. John Lithgow is excellent in everything. John Lithgow is one of my favourite actors of all time.
Have you ever seen a Brian De Palma movie called Raising Cain?
Yeah.
John Lithgow is the main antagonist.
Yeah.
He's all of it.
Oh man,
watch that. That's a good movie.
I always wanted him to be a Bond baddie. I still think he would make an absolutely, truly epic Bond baddie.
I like him as the baddie in Cliffhanger.
Well, have you seen him in Dexter?
Oh, the Trinity Killer.
Yeah.
Oh. That's the best season.
He's absolutely psychotic.
That is the best season.
But but he can play anything. He's that good. He's one of the best. He's one of my favorite actors ever. He's phenomenal.
I think the child in this as well, who plays young Murph, I think it's
Mackenzie
Foy.
Yeah. She has a fantastic career ahead of her because I think that performance that she provided was really good, and I think she really did deliver really well on that.
Yeah.
Casey
Casey Affleck.
Casey
Affleck.
Affleck, yeah, who plays Tom Cooper. He was really good, I think. But
he's played by two people, though, isn't he? He's played
Yeah.
by Timothy Chalamet when he's younger, and he's played by Casey Affleck when he's older.
Yeah, there's a lot more. He pulls across a lot more sort of hardship in the character, and I think that was really cool.
I think when you're right in what you're saying, because when he's younger, he's excited about being a farmer. You know, it's. But then as he's growing older, and you learn about how he lost a child.
Yeah,
and those messages, and he's world weary by the time you see him at the end.
He looks as if he's had everything thrown at him because of what's gone on. But yeah, so yeah, I think
you got Jessica Chastain as the older one as well.
Yeah,
older Murph.
Yeah, the casting of those two, Mackenzie Foy and Jessica Chastain's fantastic.
They do look like they could be one of
They really look like each other, and even the way.
Oh, do you know what?
The talking and the way they're delivering their lines, I thought sounded very similar as well.
I think like older Murph, Ellen Burstyn, I think it is. I can see I can see both of them in her as well. I just think the casting in this movie is amazing. Apart from Matt Damon, apparently.
Man, Matt Damon sucks. What's the good and the bad?
Well, didn't ask David he's bad, right? Because we already know what it is. So my favourite part of the movie, just for the sheer adrenaline of it, is the bit where he has to dock after Dr. Mann he's blown the airlock, the thing's spinning out of control, and he has to get docked. That whole sequence with the music playing and the way it looks, the use of miniatures, fantastic. One of the best scenes in cinema history. Bad for me, I think.
Go on, see it. See it.
It's not Matt Damon.
see it, Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Because I can't think of anything else.
No, I'm struggling. But it's not Matt Damon. I'm going to say that the worst part of this movie, it's actually on the planet where Matt Damon is. But it's not because I don't think he's a bad actor. I just think there's parts of that where it sort of slows down a little bit rather than... I'll tell you what the worst part of it was me, and it's not even because it's a bad part of the movie, it's because it gets me blood up. It's the bit when he's walking away from Coop when Coop is like suffocating because he's broke his helmet, and he's trying to be like how he thought he could do this, but he couldn't do this, and he's trying desperately to try and explain himself to a dying man who won't know, that won't if he does die, won't give two shits. But that's not a bad thing in regards to how it's bad as making me think this character's a piece of shit.
But who delivers that line?
No, well, but that's a good thing though. He's getting my blood up because I'm actually absolutely hating this frigging character. It's not a bad part. It's just the fact that it riles us up because this prick is trying to make himself sound honourable and magnanimous, even while he's doing these heroic things.
While he's murdering somebody.
While he's murdering someone. So, well done for doing that, Matt Damon.
Wait, I'll tell you my favourite bits and the worst bits.
Yeah.
So my favourite bit is probably, again, it's like the docking sequence is just amazing.
Yeah.
The worst bit, and I'll not mention Matt Damon, but the worst bit is when he leaves Murph, and he's just like, "Oh, you're in a huff. Well, anyway, tough. I'm going. I'm going. I'm never going to see you again. I'm not like I'll stay for the extra 5 minutes and try and make a connection." He's just like, "Well, I'm on the clock, Pit. I've got to go. I'll see you in 80 years."
If he'd stayed in that room, she'd have been as stubborn as ever. It was only when he left that she ran out. Because you know how stubborn Murph is.
Because I don't think any parent would do that. Like,
one of my favourite parts of this film is the initial meeting between Coop and Professor Brand. I think at the start when you get to the introduction with Michael Caine, I think he really does sort of bring you into the story and tells you it's that golden nugget of information that opens up more of the story at the beginning. As to what is really going on, and that's the part that I really like, because it's just telling you, feeding you more knowledge about what's happening to the planet. So I would say the only bad thing I could possibly pull at, I think, is towards the end, we're led to believe that Coop goes back to see Brand, and you find out that I think he does that secretly, doesn't he? He tries to get away.
He steals a ship.
Yeah, he steals a ship, and he goes to try and do that secretly to go back to see Brand, because I do feel there's obviously a forced connection between the two because they'd spent so much time together.
I don't know if it's a forced connection, mate. I just think that's almost like the next step. If they want to get this planet ready for the rest of the human race getting there,
Yeah.
she needs help.
But that's where it was a case of you'd never find out if he actually managed to successfully get to the
point. It's the same thing with Inception. You never see that top stop
No,
spinning at the end.
it's alluded to though. You see someone standing in a spacesuit,
Yeah.
which can only be him really, because
Well, no, you see him enter the ship.
no, you see him enter the ship, but the final scene is you see a person standing on top of the mountain looking down on the established base that
It's
was
Brand.
by Edmonton, but you don't know if it's Brand. You do.
Yeah, it was, because
Yeah, it was.
you see she's at the graveside.
No, there's an earlier scene where she's by the graveside, but in between when she's at the graveside, there's a scene where he goes on the ship,
I must have blinked.
and then it cuts back to a figure on the hillside looking down over Edmonton's base.
Walking towards the base.
Yeah,
That's Brand.
how do you know? You never see the face. You only see them from the back.
But she's not wearing a helmet.
She's got black hair, short black hair.
So
Because she takes the helmet off because you realise the air's breathable.
I'm going to Google this.
You Google it.
say that to me is the only bad point, where you don't necessarily know what you don't have a concrete. They got there.
I would say if they did show that though, we'd have another half an hour on the movie. Gotcha.
So
Sorry, would you just like to share what's happened here?
David has Googled and realised I was right.
I am not trusting the internet. I shall do my own research.
I've got the video. I'll show you here.
I don't want your doctored rubbish.
The AI rubbish.
Yeah,
So look,
Chat GTP created short clip.
So yeah.
So anyway, Luke, what do you think is the best and worst parts? Are you still awake,
Have
Luke?
you finished it?
I've pretty much added my 2 pence worth in.
My favourite parts are the relationship between Coop and Murph. I could completely feel it all the way through. I think it was really, really well acted, and there was foreshadowing all the way through this, where we're talking about the ghosts and the poltergeist, and Coop saying to Murph, your mum used to say that when kids are born, the parents become the ghost of their past, and then that literally happens, and he becomes the ghost of her past, communicating to her about the future.
Yeah.
Which was a big, a lot to get your head round.
I didn't get that till just then.
And then at the end, when he sees her as an old woman, he says, "I was your ghost." And that which takes you back to the very beginning, where he says, "Your parents are the ghosts of your past."
Yeah, and I think they've even got with the character of Murph, they've even got that side story about how she was given that name, because she says everything why am I named after everything bad happens, because she's named after Murphy's Law.
Murphy's Law in the UK is called Sod's Law.
Sod's law, yeah, it is.
This is my daughter, Sod.
So for our American listeners, and I know we do have some, Murphy's Law in the UK is referred to as Sod's Law. So when something happens and it's just typical that something like that might happen, it's Sod's Law.
Bloody Sod's Law, that.
Yeah. So that relationship, it's a testament to how good all these actors are, and how all the directors and the script writers and all that, because in every iteration of Murph being the child, the adult, and the elderly woman, it's consistent between Matthew McConaughey and those other actors. Part I didn't like, near the end, everything seems to be just tacked on. There's moments like, what was it, Dr. Brand? I I believe that she was kind of being set up as like a kind of love interest, because at the end where the you know, because she's got that monologue about, you know, love transcends time and all this, and this is why we need to go to this planet for my boyfriend, because I'm being pulled across the universe because I love him.
Yeah, there was that dialogue that happened when they were in the ship about love versus science and the survival and versus sacrifice, wasn't there? Mm-hmm. So,
well, to me, that seemed like super clunky right in that moment when they were on that ship. Like, why would she start talking about all that? So that was like a clunky bit of exposition for the Tesseract bit. I know everyone's shaking their head here, but for me, it is like, I was sitting watching it going, why is she talking like this? Because she's a woman of science, and where's this epiphany come from that all of a sudden she's like figured this out?
Well, no,
and the part at the end where he goes back and sees old Murph, and she's surrounded by her family, and it's all nice, and there are some like really, really lovely moments in that. It could have been longer for me. That it felt like there wasn't enough time, because he spent all of his time in this film trying to get back to his daughter.
80 years.
80 years, and when he gets there, he must be there like a solid 5 minutes, if that. And then they have like, you know, a little back and forth.
Well, no, I think,
and then she says to him, "Well, get yourself off and go and find Brand." And the way that she infers it is like he was destined to go and find her because he's destined to be with her.
No, because they're setting up the new world. She's getting ready to go down for the big sleep. She's going to go into stasis, and then talking about the light of our new sun. That's where we're going to have to relocate. So eventually, the whole rest of this, if you want to continue on the movie, the whole rest of this movie is them moving these space stations through the wormhole and populating this new world. But we don't want that.
But that's the macroscopic view of the whole entire thing. But the microscopic view of that moment is, for me, when I'm looking at when I'm hearing her say, "Go and find Brand," and then in the next shot you're seeing Brand burying
Edmund,
our ex-partner, and you're going, well, you know, there's room at the table now, isn't there?
well, anyway, Luke.
You guys have dirty minds. That's all I'm saying.
and then he's going off to Alpha Centauri or wherever it is to go and fill his boot.
Look, your good and bad points are going to end up longer than the whole actual podcast.
But anyway, so that's my me good and bad.
You couldn't have just said Matt Damon, and it would have been worst point, Matt Damon. Next.
But other than that, I thought it was an absolutely phenomenal film. I enjoyed this film more the second time round, and I think it was a lot to do with the fact that it was in IMAX and the sound was so good.
All right, everybody, ratings out of 10.
10.
Adam?
10.
Luke?
Solid 6.
Go back to Luke.
Okay, Luke.
That's solid 10.
I'll give it 9.9. It would have gotten 10, but unfortunately, Matt Damon. What we're going to review next, boys?
So, how about next time, because there's a new Running Man movie come out, we talk about the Arnold Schwarzenegger one.
Fantastic idea, Martin.
Yay!
Yes.
Perfect.
Sounds great.
Easy. See?
This wasn't edited at all.
Cool. So, Running Man next time. Thanks all for listening. Please don't forget to subscribe and like wherever you listen to. And this has been the Four Takes Movie Podcast. I'm Martin.
I've been Adam.
I'm Luke.
I'm David.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.